All right, let's get right into it. If you followed the original story of the Watcher, you know its disappearance felt like this huge victory. But what if it wasn't? What if that was just the beginning of something worse? Today, we're going to break down the chilling new status quo that came next, where a very strange peace gave way to an even stranger horror.
This one line right here, this sets the stage for everything. Just imagine a world that was always buzzing with this weird, unexplainable cosmic energy, and then one day, it just goes dead silent. That's the feeling. It's a quiet that feels completely wrong, like the entire planet is holding its breath, waiting for something awful to happen. So for a whole month after the Watcher vanished, so did all the weirdness. All the strange phenomena that had been messing with the world's oceans just stopped. On the surface, it looked like peace, but it was this eerie, deceptive calm that tricked almost everyone into thinking the danger had passed for good. And this is where you start to see the divide. On one hand, you've got the scientific community who are basically throwing parties. Their instruments are finally reading normal again. But for people like Akira, who could actually feel the ocean's presence, this silence was terrifying. The voice she had always known, the one that answered, was just gone. And that emptiness was way more frightening than any noise had ever been. This really illustrates the tension perfectly, doesn't it? You've got Akira, who feels like a connection inside her has been violently cut. And on the other side, there's Mio, who's finally free from the Watcher, and she's trying so hard to hope that this quiet is what normal is supposed to feel like. But you can tell, even she doesn't really believe it. And this is the moment where the whole story just flips on its head. Our characters start asking this absolutely terrifying question. What if the Watcher wasn't a threat they needed to beat? What if it was a seal that they had just broken? Of course, that calm doesn't last. Before long, the world starts to show the first cracks in its foundation, almost like a computer program that's starting to run a critical error. And this is how it starts for Akira. She gets jolted awake, but not by a sound. It's the polar opposite, a sudden, total feeling of nothing. A moment where reality itself just seems to flicker and go out, replaced by a complete and utter void. It's a signal made of pure absence. And inside that void, a single word just materializes in her mind. It's not a whisper, it's not even a thought. It feels more like an error message from the universe itself, and all it says is, found. Pretty soon, Akira's personal nightmare gets backed up by hard data from all over the globe. Drones don't just go offline, they vanish off the map. Ships just go silent, no trace. And the most terrifying part? These voids start appearing in the ocean, literal holes in reality. Areas with no water, no pressure, just nothing. The glitches are becoming physical. And all of this leads to a horrifying new rule about their reality. The idea of observation, the simple act of a consciousness perceiving something, is actually what holds it all together. You know, it's kind of like that if a tree falls in the forest question, but on a cosmic level. Here, if something isn't being observed, it can simply stop being real. The Watcher was a massive cosmic observer. Now that it's gone, things are starting to unravel. And just as the world is starting to fray at the edges, the key to understanding all of this comes from a really unlikely source, Mio. Her fragmented memories are finally starting to come back, and this is the moment where the entire story just pivots. This one tiny line from Mio changes absolutely everything. As her memories return, she realizes the fundamental truth they all missed. The Watcher, it wasn't a single being. That was a catastrophic misunderstanding of what was really going on down in the depths. So everyone thought the Watcher was basically a prison warden, keeping humanity contained. But the truth was the exact opposite. The Watcher wasn't a prison, it was a barrier, a shield. It was holding something else back. Humanity was never the prisoner. We were being protected. So if the Watcher was the barrier, we have to ask the terrifying question, what was it holding back? It's time to meet the true antagonist of this story. So how do you even describe something that's defined by what it isn't? It has no shape because it literally is the concept of shapelessness. It doesn't have goals or thoughts. It's a fundamental force of nature, the embodiment of non-existence. It's like a blind, mindless eraser for reality. See, this thing doesn't need to attack. It doesn't have a motive. Its very presence acts like an anti-reality field. By simply existing, it causes the world around it to unravel and disappear back into the nothingness it came from. This revelation, as you can imagine, forces our characters into an absolutely impossible position. With reality itself on the line, they're faced with an unbearable choice. There are no good options left. And it's Mio piecing her memories back together who realizes the only way out, the only way to stop this encroaching emptiness is to bring back the very thing they fought so hard to defeat. The Watcher has to return. And I mean, just look at this choice. It's devastating. Option 1, restore the Watcher. That would save the world, yeah, but it means Mio has to sacrifice her newfound freedom and her individuality, becoming part of that cosmic consciousness all over again. Option 2, do nothing. Mio stays free, but the world and everyone in it just ceases to exist. It's an impossible decision. But just when all hope seems lost, this one critical question hangs in the air. Is it really a binary choice between two terrible fates? Or is there another way? Is there a third path that no one has seen yet? Then, in the middle of her despair, Akira hears a new voice. It's not the ocean, it's not the void, it's something else entirely. And it gives her this cryptic challenge, suggesting that maybe the rules of reality are more flexible than they think. They already broke one fundamental law by freeing Mio, maybe they can break another. Akira, just completely stunned, asks the only question that matters. If this voice isn't the Watcher, and it isn't the horror from the depths, who or what is it? And the answer is it's completely mind-bending. When the great observer, the Watcher, disappeared, it didn't just unleash the void, it also created a vacuum, a space for something new to come into existence. A third player has just entered the game, one born from the very act of not being watched. And what that means for the world? Well, that's the question we're all left to ponder.